Oleksandr Usyk thinks that he has gotten into Tyson Fury's head. Now, I've said over the past, whatever it is, 6, 7 months, that I think that Oleksandr Usyk is bringing something different to the table psychologically to Tyson Fury, something that he maybe hasn't seen before, at least not as a professional. I think that Oleksandr Usyk is mentally stronger and is more clever, more wily when it comes to mind games than probably anybody else Tyson Fury has fought as a pro. Vladimir Klitschko was a fighter who liked to dominate people with his size and with his technique and so on. He'd lean all over smaller men. He was a bully in the ring, really, Vladimir Klitschko. When he came up against Tyson Fury, that didn't work, of course. But with Oleksandr Usyk, he's not like Vladimir Klitschko. Oleksandr Usyk is used to being the smaller man, going up against much bigger men, not just in the pros as he's moved up to heavyweight, but even in the amateurs, the WSB, in sparring, etc., etc. So when you've got a little man who's had all this success against big men, he's obviously going to have a mentality, a mindset, which is stronger than most fighters. Okay? He's not easily intimidated just because you're bigger and stronger than him. He's beaten lots of guys bigger and stronger. So Tyson Fury's normal tactics of trying to get under a guy's skin and rub him up the wrong way doesn't appear to be working with Oleksandr Usyk. And in fact, Usyk has given Fury a little bit of a taste of his own medicine. It's been very interesting to watch. Now, I think there's an element of the language barrier potentially helping both of them, because if they could understand each other, then they'd be able to, one of them or maybe both, find it easier to get into the other guy's head. Okay? But even without the language barrier, I think Usyk has, if not got into Tyson Fury's head, he's at least been able to repel Fury's attempts to get in his head, if you get what I'm saying. So anyway, to quote Tyson Fury here, to quote Oleksandr Usyk here, he said, quote, "I think I was able to get in his head a little bit. I've been watching Tyson Fury get into the heads of his opponents for many years, and then I got into his head. When there are no cameras, he is completely different. He plays the bad guy for the cameras. I think he likes movies about love, and when he watches them, he cries a little bit. And that's not a bad thing. When I watch some sentimental movies, I can shed a tear too." He goes on to talk about Anthony Joshua. He's complimentary of him. He says, quote, "Joshua shouldn't be upset because he lost to me. He just needs to keep working because he's a very cool boxer and a nice man. He will have an opportunity to become the world heavyweight champion again." Right? Those are the words of Oleksandr Usyk. And Usyk is, I guess, what many would describe as a really classy guy, because what AJ did in the ring, throwing the belts out and going on that rant after he lost to Usyk for a second time, could easily be construed, and is construed by many people, as disrespectful. And Usyk was somewhat disappointed by what AJ did, particularly after he heard the translation. I'm assuming he didn't know a lot of what AJ was saying at the time, because he's not exactly fluent in English. So he was a little disappointed, but he also said, I understand. I beat the guy twice. He's frustrated. He wants to be the best. He's disappointed. So I get why he acted out a little bit. As I say, a lot of people are going to describe that as being very, very classy from Usyk, because if he turned round and really laid into AJ after what AJ did, nobody would begrudge Oleksandr Usyk for doing so. You know what I mean? So to turn around and say, I get it, I understand, that shows real class by Oleksandr Usyk. So, yeah, that's that. Now, with regards, again, to the Fury situation, yeah, I think he's at least been able to repel Fury's attempts to get in his head. The stuff that Fury does that normally works with other people, it's not working with Usyk. For various reasons, but one of them, I think, is because Usyk is used to going up against big, strong men. Guys who try to bully him physically, mentally, etc. And he beats them all. Do you know what I mean? This is not a guy like Vlad who's used to being the bully himself. He's used to being Goliath, going up against a bunch of small guys. And then when the tables are turned on him, he goes up against somebody bigger than him who's very skilled. All of a sudden, Vlad can't handle it. No, this ain't the same with Usyk. Usyk is cut from a different cloth than Vladimir Klitschko. Can't intimidate this guy. Yeah, hundreds of amateur fights, WSB fights, professional fights, undisputed at cruiserweight, unified at heavyweight, beating bigger guys in there. I mean, he's beating everybody in their backyards as well, Usyk. And this is not like, for example, Tyson Fury when he fought Vladimir Klitschko in his backyard, because everybody was fighting Vladimir Klitschko in his backyard. People are acting as though Tyson Fury did something that nobody else did in terms of fighting Klitschko in Germany. No, everybody fought Klitschko in Germany just about. There was Bryant Jennings and who else? Bryant Jennings and Povetkin, who didn't fight him in Germany. There may have been a couple others here and there, but for the most part, if you wanted a title shot, you had to fight Klitschko in Germany. End of. So everybody did it. Even David Haye did it. Yeah, but with Oleksandr Usyk, he was voluntarily going into guys' backyards. He could have been stubborn and negotiated to have certain fights in his country or in neutral territory. He could have done that, but he didn't do it. Didn't care. Usyk was like, I'll fight you wherever. Wherever's the most money. I don't need home advantage or neutral territory. I'm not worried about nothing. I'm not worried about the judges. I'm not worried about the ref. I believe in myself. I believe in my ability. And I'll beat this guy anywhere. Usyk really is. People talk about old school fighters, right? And they very rarely include Oleksandr Usyk in the conversation. I don't know why. Because he is the absolute epitome of an old school fighter, a throwback fighter in terms of his mentality. Has gloves, will travel. He's all about that smoke. So yeah, Usyk is the quintessential throwback fighter. And those throwback fighters were very, very tough mentally. Usyk's the same. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.
Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.